Currently, most 3D printing techniques will give you a print in a single material with a single color, just like this one. This is a white version of blue, the guy that you can see on screen, and he was just printed in white plastic on my own printer. But there are commercial services that will let you print in full color. This is one that I printed before. He was printed in full color using UV texturing. UV texturing is what you normally see in a computer game. That's how all those models have color. They don't have a material on them. They just have an image, and the image is wrapped around the model. So that's where we have to start. We have to UV unwrap our model. That's the technical term. Basically what it means is we have to take our three-dimensional model, open it up into 2 dimensions, so that if we take something that's 2-dimensional, we know how to fold it around the 3-dimensional model. It seems a little bit complicated, but as soon as we do it, it should become obvious how it works. To create a relationship between our 3D model and a 2D model, we need a second window, because this is our main 3D editing window, and we can only do things in 3D in here. So I'm going to split this window by clicking on the corner and dragging it open and making a UV/image editor. This is where we do the 2-dimensional stuff in Blender right now. And currently it will show me the render result, as you can see at the bottom. This is where you can select an image to work on, for instance. I will remove this so that it's completely empty, and we'll have a look at blue right now. You can see on the right he doesn't have any UV maps yet. The UV map is what we get as a result of UV unwrapping. So you unwrap it into a map, just like you have a map of a landscape, and a landscape is 3-dimensional too. It's just a 2-dimensional version of it. So we will have to make this data. We can do it 2 ways. I can add a map just by clicking on plus, then the data exists. We just haven't told it what to do yet. Or we can do it straight from the 3D model. I can select my model, select everything, and then say mesh, UV unwrap, and we have a bunch of options. I'll take the top one to start. And that's what it does. Let me make sure we don't have any seams, and I'll try it again. This is the result that Blender makes for us. I want to show you a very simple way what we're doing. So we have these 4 faces, right? And if I just unwrap these 4, it'll create it like this. So this is the 2-dimensional coordinates for these 3-dimensional shapes. And now I can add a new image that we'll see on it. And I'll do that, and I will call this my image texture, so that we all know what we're talking about. Texture. I don't need it to be very big. I'll do a very standard 256 by 256. And usually it creates a blank image for you. I don't want a blank image. I will make it a nice color grid. This will show me what happens. So color grid, that's a bit small, isn't it? I want a bigger color grid. I'll do it again. New. I'll keep the 1024 color grid. Call it image texture. And there we go. That's very nice. This has a lot more detail. And already this is my UV texture, so I could export with this. If I want to see the results, I enable texture viewing in the 3D view. So I've enabled it, and I can see here, this is how it's going to go. You see the E2 is at the corner here. It's also at the corner here. And if I move this point, you can see how it relates to the space over here. Now I want this image to be on everything, so right now this is my data. It doesn't matter, I just want to apply the image. The way to make sure it's applied is if you select everything in here by clicking on the letter A, you select everything, you make this empty, completely empty. You see everything's white because I've selected things and removed the image. It's clear. I can then select from my list the image I made. This is the one, image texture 001 is the last one I made, and you can see the result. And you can also see this is a complete mess. It looks pretty cool on the belly, it looks pretty cool on the head. That's because the head is this big shape here, all of these points, and all of these down here. But the body doesn't have any detail, that's because it's all the way in here. So we have to unwrap it in a nice way. There's lots of ways to do it, there's lots of tutorials about how to do it, but I will show you my personal favorite way to do this sort of thing. What I like to do is this: I go in the 3D window and select the faces that I know how I want them to look. So all the belly, the way it looks in my 3D view will be good for my 2D view as well. So this is a good base. I like the way all of this looks. I don't mind if this is, do I have him? Yep, we've got it. Actually, I would be very happy if this is what it looks like in 2 dimensions as well. So I'll put it sort of in the middle of my view by clicking the dot on my numpad, and I will unwrap this. So I will go mesh, UV unwrap, unwrap, or you can click on U, as you can see here on your keyboard, unwrap. Actually, I don't want to just unwrap, because it does it pretty nice, but you can see it's stretched vertically, right? It should be different. So I do project from view. That's going to take it exactly as I see it in my window here and put it there. So mesh, UV, project from view. This looks really nice to me. And I'll take all these points and I will pin them. Pinning means that if I hit U again, they won't be moved automatically. What you do now, I'm happy with these. I will select more points with Ctrl+ on your keyboard, and I'll make sure I have these all selected. So I want to have an edge around my previous selection. That looks good. It looks pretty nice. I'll take it, and then I just do unwrap. And it's going to take, these points are not going to be moved. Everything around it is going to be automatically unwrapped. And the result looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to pin all of them with P on my keyboard. And I can select even more. So I select more points. Yeah, I can select part of the foot. And I'll select this on top. It's pretty nice. Looks okay. Here on the shoulder. And I will unwrap again. So it's becoming really big. Well, I think all of these, we can make them a little bit smaller, because you can see it here as well. The text here is really big, here it's really small. If I scale this down a bit, it will make it more even. So that's pretty nice. So I almost have the front half now. The feet are still a bit of a mess. So all of this is nice, the front half. I just want to take the feet with it. So I will select all of this just by hand, clicking on it whilst holding shift. So this is the front of my model, right? I just have the entire front now. Unwrap it, and the feet, this is fine. So this is the front of my model, and I just put it somewhere in my view. It doesn't really matter where, I can just put it anywhere at all. And I want to do the exact same thing with the rear. Another way to do it would be to do it more automatic. So one thing I could do, for instance, is just do the inverse. What if I don't care about it? Ctrl-I selects the exact opposite. And now I will unwrap this as well. It's done it for me, and the feet are a bit of a mess. But to show you different methods, this is one. Now I select everything, all of it is in here. So with L on your keyboard you can select everything that's linked together, move it around a bit. And this is a pretty good way to unwrap. So this was automatic, and you can see it's a bit messier than this one. And you can clean up after. Downside to doing it this way, of course, is that the front and the back, have a cut between them. You can clearly see this line if you are adding your own color to it, is gonna have to be the exact same color. But this is cool. This is a very quick way to do it. My personal preference is you select something, you project it according to the view, and then you unwrap the things around it. So I'm not even using any seams. Seams are the way to do it normally. I do it by selection. There's lots of tutorials that will show you how to automatically unwrap, live unwrap, or do it by scenes. This is my own personal way. Next, I'll do a tutorial about adding color to your UV map.